So you're thinking about moving to West Kelowna? Maybe you're just looking to move somewhere in the Okanagan. I mean, who really isn't thinking that? Or at least thought that at one point. I think you're crazy if that thought hasn't even crossed your mind. But if it sounds like you, I have the 5 pros and the 5 cons of what it's like to live in West Kelowna. To certify if you really want to earn the title to be a West Kelownian or a West Kelowna-fornian. That was bad. I was just kidding. We really don't call ourselves that. I don't think anyone really calls us that, other than maybe rappers in rap songs.
Kelowna, baby, best place in the world right here. Kelowna,
If you're trying to make the decision to move here to West Kelowna, take a look at this video. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Mark Coons here with the Living in Kelowna channel. And if you're thinking about moving here, shoot me an email, give me a call, blow up my phone. I have your back. I'm gonna help you get out here to the Okanagan. I've compiled a list of some of the pros, but also some of the cons of living in West Kelowna. Now I'm gonna go over some great things and maybe some not so great things, but it really comes down to perspective. So it really comes down to what you're looking for. And that's where really we're just starting the dialogues. And so reach out. So let's dive right in. All right, so pro number 1, if you've ever visited the Okanagan, you've likely done and gone wine tasting. Whether it's the vineyards here or the wineries, West Kelowna is home to some of Canada's most renowned wineries. So that, and fruit growers. From Mission Hills, Quailgate, The Hatch, Volcanic Hills, Friend Winery. You go down the Boucherie Wine Trail, you have ample opportunities. And that is one thing that really draws a lot of tourists here. But it also is nice to, live and you even just walk from a lot of homes there just to these wineries. There's also the remote countryside where there's a lot of different family farms out here in West Kelowna. And the trees are flowering, it's just spectacular views and it's just beautiful to look at. All right, so the con number 1 is the bridge, and everybody hates on the bridge. It's probably the top con of what everybody else. If you ever ask anybody what's the opinion of living in West Kelowna, it's going to be how crappy the bridge is. So yes, it's true, the bridge can suck. But it definitely comes down to perspective. So if you're moving from a bigger center, it's likely not an issue on a regular basis, because the main commute, and depends on where you're commuting from and where you're planning to go, but getting across the bridge can be as little, if you're in Rose Valley or some places in Lakeview Heights, it can be 5-10 minutes. Or if you're in places like Glen Rosa, it can be 30-35 minutes to get across the bridge, and it depends on how you have to go. So it really comes down to somebody's perspective and issues. If there's an accident on the bridge, or if it's pretty soon after a big snowfall, there can be some good congestion and can really hamper your commute time. But I wouldn't let it shy away from you choosing West Kelowna unless that's an absolutely deal breaker on it, and maybe suggest some walkability and or else a bikeability to get to where you need to go on a regular basis, because sometimes the commute from West Kelowna can also be a lot shorter than some of the times the commute from other areas in Kelowna. Like if you're down in the Lower Mission or in Kettle Valley, the commute can very often be the same amount of time. West Kelowna is a smaller center, and this is pro number 2, is because it's relatively a new city, and it just became a city in 2015. But West Kelowna is really starting to make a name for itself, and between the West Bank First Nation and the city of West Kelowna, one of the fastest growing areas. And for the most part, it's depending on the area, but it's more spread out. So only 40,000 people right now live in West Kelowna. There's another about 10,000 people on the West Bank First Nation. So really you deal with a lot less people and less traffic if you stay within West Kelowna. Typically you can get a little bit bigger lots and a little bit more house, and it is spread out, so it's not condensed in, which makes it unique, and people tend to be drawn to it, that people that want a little bit more space don't necessarily care about that walkability. West Kelowna might be a great option for you. Now with the smaller center comes con number 2, and that comes with a lack of identity. You know, so it's a newer city starting out, and it's, you know, starting to create its own vision and identity, but it's really lacking currently, and previously has been lacking. So there's no real downtown. If you really like that downtown and being close to restaurants and shops, there are a couple options here, but overall, good chance you might have to drive each different shop or each different restaurant. It really depends on what your type of lifestyle that you're looking to live out here. But if you're like me and my family, you know, we usually just pick something up from a local restaurant and we'll take it down to the beach and we'll do our own little thing. So the kids can play in the sand and the water, and so we really make it our own, and can be decent calming. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button below and smash that like button to make sure you don't miss out on future videos of what it's like of living in Kelowna. So pro number 3 in West Kelowna is the trails and the hiking. So getting out, enjoying hikes just like I'm doing right now is the reason why we moved here to the Okanagan. Being able to be closer to nature, further away from the concrete jungles, it brings a little bit more peacefulness, and a lot of people are searching for that right now. So, you know, if you're looking to move somewhere that's peaceful, get away from the normal day-to-day life, I highly suggest the Okanagan. I moved here from multiple provinces over, and yeah, get out, enjoy hikes like this. Got a creek right there, houses over there, so literally just out your back door. Given the span and the remoteness of West Kelowna, you know, it's naturally set up for the outdoor enthusiasts, you know, a lot of different options for you. So if that's something that you're looking for, get out and explore a little bit more. Put it in Google Maps and just see what you're into, and great options to get out and get active. Con number 3 is the lack of sidewalks. So this really makes it tough to walk up and down in your neighborhood. So a con of living here in West Kelowna is the lack of sidewalks. I'm walking on a busy street. It's one of the main feeder roads into the neighborhood, and there's no sidewalks. As you can see, I come up to this 4-way stop here, or this 4-way area, and no sidewalks on either side. So sidewalks were only started to put into the second part of the development. The first homes in this development, they weren't put in. So you have to take what you get, and there's, you know, less people living here, so statistically less traffic. Still a danger and concern, especially for kids, but that's something to take a look at and something to be aware of. Picking areas, if you have kids, maybe you want to go into an area that has, or watch for an area that has a little bit more sidewalks. Bottom half of this street does actually have a sidewalk because it was part of the next phase of the development. So there's a good chance in certain areas, even though there's less people in West Kelowna and less traffic statistically, still it can be quite dangerous sometimes. So something to watch out, especially if you have kids. Maybe looking to get on more of a cul-de-sac type of situation versus on a street, because they do lack a little bit of that travel. But that's something where we also go the road a little bit less traveled and hit up to the mountains and do our hiking up there. Pro number 4, this is more of a historical figure, and the gap seems to be getting smaller and smaller, but your dollar does go a little bit further here in West Kelowna than what you do get in Kelowna, as real estate really hinges on location. You know, it's been true for years. Kelowna has mainly been higher prices, but mainly due now to West Kelowna starting to make its name for itself and starting to make its own identity. This might not be a pro for much longer. It seems like the gap is closing, and that's just something to, you know, keep a watch on. It might not always be like this. Con number 4 is transit. So this is really tough one for people living here that really rely on transit. And if you rely on transit to get to Kelowna, your best bet would probably be to take the transit from a transfer station, or for one that is closer on route. You know, mainly if you need to take transit from your street, it might be a nightmare, to be honest with you, unless you're really close to the main transit centers. So if you are a type, you know, if you do rely on transit, person that relies on transit, really think about where you're located. West Kelowna can be a good option for you. Still, if you do need to take transit, it depends on where you're going, but it's just something to make sure you're taking care of, and if it's a make it or break it, really choose wisely on where you're looking to buy. And pro number 5 is the beaches. Okay, so it's not the rockless sandy beaches you get in Mexico, but during the summer, these are a godsend. Being out here, being able to cool off like on a day like today, whether you have a boat or just want to lounge at the lake shore, West Kelowna has a number of beaches. I'm on one right now, and there's community surrounded it. Whether it be houses, apartment buildings, you can really dream all different price ranges. If you've ever been dreaming about being lakefront or really close to the lakefront, West Kelowna has a lot of great options, different options depending on really what you're looking for. Con number 5, and this one is being worked on right now by the city council, but historically there has been a number of water issues. Drinking water here in certain areas, it's really just people that have been on the Rose Valley water system. So if you're buying in a new neighborhood, just check and see. They are getting a new plant for Rose Valley, but so it should no longer be an issue in the future, but this is, until that is up and running, it's something to be watch out for. And the main issue is just boil water advisories. I'm no water connoisseur, but I know water can play a big role in your quality of life, and it's something definitely to look into. So I'd be just cautious of that, and make sure you're if you are concerned with that, just make sure you're doing your due diligence when you are looking at areas. I have people call me every day thinking about moving here to the Okanagan. So if that's you, give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email, just so we can chat about your wants, your needs, your desires, and make you get it set up in a neighborhood that is right for you. There you have it. There's the list of the pros and cons of living right here in West Kelowna. Now, I love it here, and I do these videos to help you know what it's like to live here. When I moved here, I was searching for this information, and it was so tough to find. You can't believe me. I was just searching, so I'm glad I made the move. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I want you guys to make you move out here. I want to get you guys out into the Okanagan. So reach out, let me know how I can help, and take care until the next time.